what's happened so the layman can understand.
Dumb it down. I like
it.
It's a good term. Well, we've been asked by the province to include in our plan accommodation for additional units inside residential buildings in different areas, different parts of our municipality. At the same time, we've been asked to include a provision for what used to be called granny suites. They're secondary units. They're for family members. They're parachuted in and taken out, not literally, but that's the word that we use. So we've proposed an official plan amendment that does that with some limits. And what you have to remember is that the rules are set not by the official plan amendment, but by the zoning bylaw. So as we get through the amendment and get that approved, the zoning bylaw is where the rubber hits the road, so to speak, and where we make the rules that make this make sense. There was a lot of very productive discussion, a lot of very productive information from the public tonight, and I think we're a lot closer. The committee was not comfortable with making a decision tonight, so we've put that off, probably for at least a week and likely longer, because we're waiting on some comments back from our consultant and certainly from Leah. We had an excellent meeting and excellent comments, and I think we answered most of the questions, so I'm really pretty happy with what happened.
What are you still considering?
What are we still considering? Well, there are some things that were asked for. There were some things that were discussed. Trying to accommodate additional areas of the municipality, trying to deal with shoreline residential, some definition stuff, all sorts of things that we've handed back to our consultant and said, give us some more ammo because we need it.
Now, I know you don't have a policy right now with regards to the secondary suites or the garden suites. What happens if somebody wants to build one in their home or on their property? What happens now?
Well, one of the things that's happened is we've had considerable discussion in the community about a couple of applications particularly, and they've both actually been referred to the OMB for final decision because we have no real guidance from the province, so you're kind of winging it in situations like that. It makes it very difficult for a municipal planning advisory committee because we're not planners. We're people, we're businessmen, we're people who live in the community, work in the community, and have an interest in the community, but we're not planners, and we don't really always get everything right the first time. So we're waiting, I guess, for guidance from the OMB on these ones, and hopefully no more come in the short term. I don't think they will. I think we're going to be able to accommodate them with much less hassle with the new rules.
As it stands right now, the shoreline, or at least chunks of it, would be out of bounds for this sort of thing, and yet there are other parts of the shoreline, north of South Street, for instance, that would be inbounds. How do you marry the two?
How do I marry the two? Thank goodness it's not me that has to do that. That's one of the things we referred back to our consultants, because there are certainly some issues regarding how you deal with septic versus non-septic, for instance, because part of the shoreline is on septic, and if you're on septic, you're much less able to accommodate additional bodies, if you like, on a lot. If you're on full services, certainly it's easier. There's a whole lot of other things that go into that, but we've referred that back to Jim Diamond, Meridian Consultants, and hopefully we get some information on that, and it'll be interesting to see how the committee decides to deal with that.
Just so I'm clear, you said there's a couple of applications that have gone to the OMB. Is that the only, does this town not have any official garden suites or secondary suites as it stands right now?
That's a tough question. Official ones,
yeah.
Let's say no. Unofficial, I'm sure there are some. And does that mean they're against the rules? They may not. There are lots of places where mom and dad or the mother-in-law or whoever live in houses with families. And that's fine, and we're certainly saying it's fine. However, we're trying to make this make sense. We're trying to make it fair for everybody. We're trying to protect the community from those who would take advantage of certain things that can be done, and at the same time be fair to those who need to be helped.
You said that another example of the Toronto policy that's difficult to apply in rural areas.
You were listening. One of the, of course, I was born and raised here, and I'm seventh generation here. So you get a feeling sometimes that the millions of people who live in Toronto and certainly the Golden Horseshoe are out of touch with what goes on in rural Ontario. That's not always true. Certainly a lot of them do know what goes on. However, their need for intensification, their need to deal with more people in a house, their need to deal with more use on a lot is much different than ours. And the rules tend to come out of where the people are. And the people aren't up here. So we get rules that, and my comment was basically it's a Toronto rule, and we can accommodate Toronto rules. There's lots of them here, and most of them make sense.
Good.